Hello everyone, it's Stone, and I want to talk about something that's very important, and that is how much time do you have left, and are you preparing for the time when you won't be here? It's something that I think about a lot, and that is, how will life be without me being here? How would my kids be taken care of? I guess I've always been planning for stuff like that because I just think it's important. I don't necessarily want to burden someone with the responsibilities of either taking care of me if I'm incapacitated or something, or I really need help. I want to have those things in orders. That way I'll be able to still be responsible in taking care of myself. I do not want to put the burden of taking care of myself onto somebody else. So I'm always thinking about how can I circumvent those particular things from happening. And I have conversations with people that's older than me, and I would ask them the question, do you have a will? Do you have a trust? And they'll say, no, I didn't get around to it yet. And I'm just wondering, when are you planning on getting around to it? You are, unfortunately, you're at the end of the spectrum, right? It's a blessing to get to 60, 65, but you are at the end of the road, so to speak. In the Bible, it says that you get 70, so that's 70 years old, right? And people at 60, 65 still haven't have a trust. They don't have a will. They don't know what's going to happen if they get sick. They don't have any persons there that knows their important information. It's just something I want to talk about real quick, just to make sure that you're thinking about this critically, how you're going to plan for these particular things if you haven't been planning so far. And the first thing I want to address is medical arrangements. I think it's important for us to have these conversations about what is it that we want. Say, for example, your parent have a heart attack, right? Do they want to be resuscitated? Because many times, when you're doing the compressions, people, depending on the age of whoever they're doing these things on, you could break a lot of bones and cause other problems. And some people do not want to live in a state where they can't do everything for themselves. The second thing is financial and legal obligation. Will your family be okay with you not being here? And what I think about is my children not being able to live the life that they're currently living. So therefore, there are certain things in place. So if, God forbid, I have an accident and I'm not here, they're taken care of, right? That means having a will. That means having a trust. That means having life insurance. I think it's important for you to do something that you can afford, right? But some life insurance is better than no life insurance. I've seen people pass away and they need help with burial. They need help with taking care of their kids. The wife needs help with the rent, the mortgage. People lose assets that they've been working to attain because they don't have the financials in place in order to take care of the things that would have been taken care of if the other person was there. And as a man, I think the man should definitely have these things in place. Let's just say, God forbid, something was supposed to happen, right? And because you don't have a will, right? You don't have any life insurance. Now the person that you're with the person that you were with now have to be in survival mode. And now she might not, let's say your wife doesn't choose the best man. She chooses a man because she needs to be financially secure. She needs to be taken care of because there's certain financial obligations, and now your kids are being abused because she didn't have the options to choose the best person, right? She just chose a person. And now she's basically under the thumb of that individual because you didn't plan. Your kids are under the thumb of that individual because you didn't plan. These things happen. The next thing I want to talk about is legacy. As men, I think it's very important for us to leave a legacy for our children. One of the things that I'm doing right now is making these videos so that my children have some kind of idea as to the kind of person that I am, right? And it's on video, Another thing I love to do is take photos. I also like to write, right? So these things are just a part of my legacy so that if anything was supposed to happen to me, God forbid, my kids will know the kind of father that they had. The next thing I want to discuss is, do you have a proxy if you're supposed to get sick and be in the hospital? The hospitals, not to say, hospitals don't want to take care of you, they do want to take care of you, but at the same time, it's a job and they're trying to do their 8 hours or 12 hours and get out just like everybody else. And they might not be able to show you that specific individual care that you might need. And this is why it's important to have somebody who knows what you want. That could be a proxy. An advocate ensures that, or tries to ensure that the individual is well taken care of. Many people have never had the experience of being with somebody in a hospital, but when you lay on your side or your back for an extended amount of time, you can get bed sores. And sometimes you're not turned, right? Whether you're in hospital or the hospice, right? Sometimes there's neglect, right? So it's important for somebody to be there, or for you to have somebody who is a proxy that could speak up for you. God forbid you have a stroke or whatever the case might be, you can't speak for yourself. Somebody can be there to speak for you. So that person needs to be designated. That's probably one of the most important things that you need while being alive, especially if you're getting older and sickly. You need somebody to advocate for you. Another practical thing to consider is, who has the information to your passwords? Who has the information to your important documents? And you have to let the person know who's the proxy that they are the proxy, right? It only makes sense. A lot of us are not married, unfortunately. And yeah, you might love your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever the case might be. However, what can tend to happen is, because you're not next to kin, there's many things that you won't be able to speak up for the person for. That might be a tragic situation, because you might be with someone and you really care about them. You know everything that you need to know about them, right? But you're not married, and now you cannot speak for that person. You cannot decide on medical intervention for that person, because you're not next to kin. Because we live in the world that we're living in, and things happen suddenly, the person that you're with might not know anything about even how to get in your phone, nothing about how much money you have. And these are people that live together and don't even know this information. Some people who are married doesn't even know the other person's information. I have this. I'm dead, now what? It has all the information that you need to write down: contacts, medical information, personal information, dependents, financial, business, is all located in this book. You can write it down. I forgot how much money I paid for it, but I didn't actually pay for it. My wife actually got it for me. You can write down all the information in there. That way everything is in one localized spot, right? Where everybody knows. If God forbid anything happens to you, it makes life so much easier. I can't tell you how much people right now, right, are in this situation where they have properties going through probate because family does not know who's supposed to get what, because there's no active will or trust. And everybody thinks that the family is going to stay the way the family is while you're alive. But when you die, things change, right? There's people who might be financially motivated to get your property, and the kids are fighting with each other because one wants to do this and the other wants to do that. One wants to move, one wants to live in the house. And I mean, these are things that are happening right now around me, for example. You can't believe sometimes that somebody can have it together so much in one particular space in their life, and then never thought about the after death stuff, right? And now the family is going through turmoil and not agreeing with each other because everybody wants something different. These are all good intentions. They want to make sure that, their parents' wishes are seen, but many times people have a different idea of how to go about doing that, and that causes conflict. So having everything written down in a will, that makes it a little simpler. There's still going to be problems, right? But it'll be a little bit simpler, especially when it comes to dividing assets among the family. Also, another thing that I've learned is be careful of what you're signing when you are in the hospital, right? Because there's been situations where houses have been confiscated due to outstanding medical bills, right? Whether you're in hospice or for medical care. So that's something to think about too. You gotta be very careful about what you're signing. Make sure your advocate is there to read with you and sign off on things, because things can get really messy. And this is why it's important, while you're healthy and strong, to have things in place where people know what it is that you desire. They know what your wishes are for when you pass away. Your burial wishes. Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be sent back to the land, your land of origin? These are things that you need to have expressed, because somebody might not have the money to have a classic burial where you going in the ground and cremate you, and that's not what you desired, right? And even though you're dead, you should have some kind of say as to what it is that you desire after death. And I know of someone who has paid for their own plot already, just so they're buried where they want to be buried. And actually, it kind of worked out good for them, because it's way cheaper. When they bought their plot, it was years ago, and it's more expensive now. So the funeral expenses being on that person's children, they won't face that, because all that is paid for already. The songs that is going to be sung at the funeral, that's already that was already discussed, and all the arrangements already planned. Okay, so when this person passes away, all we'd have to do is just bury them. And I think that's fantastic. You should have some level of control, even in death, as to what it is that you want. Listen, these are just some things that I really want to express. I'm sure there's much more. I'm going to try to put the link to the book at the bottom of the screen, so if anybody wants it, they could feel free to go and get it. But have those discussions with your family, especially if you're just shacking up or whatever the case might be. I know it's something that happens a lot. You just need to have those kind of things in place, all right, so that whatever happens to you, things are taken care of, especially if you have children. All right, especially if you have children, they need to be taken care of even when you're not there. You don't want to have somebody, how should I say, having to make an account, GoFundMe or something upon your passing. I don't think it should be anybody's responsibility to bury you as a person, right? You should have those things in place. Therefore, you can not be a burden upon individuals. I'll give you an example. Summer is coming up right now, right? A lot of young kids, motorcycles, cops not really pulling people over, so people are speeding all over the place, right? And a lot of those kids are gonna die, 100%, right? A lot of them is gonna fall off their motorcycle, and they're gonna meet their untimely demise. And unfortunately, a lot of them do not have or won't have insurance, and it'll be the same people that they're hanging out with that will probably have to, help to fit the bill. If you're in the streets, make sure you have life insurance. Things happen all the time, right? Especially if you're in the streets and you have kids. I mean, this is a fact of life. Have some kind of insurance. If God forbid anything happens to you, we don't want nothing to happen to you, but if anything happens to you, at least certain things are in place. Well, that's what I have for today, and I just wanted to express that because these things have been happening, and I just think it's important that we, or I, talk about it a little bit to make sure that people are not going through hardships. All right, until next time, peace.